Hi everyone, how you doing? Thanks so much for joining. I'm thrilled to be doing a second collaboration with True Crime Wifey, who's a Tallahassee local, and she has been making meticulous notes since she heard on the local news about the shooting of Dan Markel. On July 18th, 2014. So, for anyone who's not already aware, I'll just give a quick summary of the case and then we'll get into Wendi and her divorce, as well as a podcast that she made of writing from her perspective about the murder. So Dan Markel was a Florida State University law professor, and he was shot in his driveway of his Tallahassee home, in what investigators quickly determined was execution style murder for hire plot. What we've now realized is through a series of cases, and including now Donna on the trial, on trial, was that the heart of this case was a bitter custody dispute between Dan and his ex-wife Wendi. After their divorce, Wendi sought to relocate with their two little boys, who at the time of the shooting were 3 and 4. The older one was almost 5. So yeah, she sought to relocate to Miami where her parents lived. But Dan Markel, with his 10-year job at Florida State University, he opposed the move. The court sided with Dan Markel. The kids were born in Tallahassee. I think it's the default that the kids will stay in the town they're born in, unless both parents agree. So the investigation implicated several members of the Adelson family. Wendi has not yet been charged. Her brother has been convicted, and her mother is now on trial. She has been granted limited use immunity to testify at actually all the trials, though the hitmen were already convicted. And but that only gives her immunity for anything she's telling the truth about, which I think there's a lot of things you could show that she's not telling the truth about. Her former boyfriend, Jeff Lacoste, who's also FSU professor, he testified that she had told him that her brother had looked into hiring a hitman, but it was cheaper to buy her a TV. So that was a repeated joke, but she apparently also said it in a serious way to Jeff. So, well, True Crime Wifey, do you want to add anything about the case overview?
No, I think you did a really good job. I do want to say hello to everyone in chat. We have Murder by Maestro, Eric Lieber is here, She Fly 9 is here, Beach Bum, and Jennifer Ray. So thank you guys for joining us. Oh, Rosemary Romero, Roro just showed up.
Hey, thanks everyone for joining us. Oh yeah, now I have the comments automatically showing on stage. So yeah, Donna is now on trial for her part. Some new evidence has come out, but there was already a lot of evidence against Donna and Wendi that True Crime Wifey and I were gonna give overview. Yeah, so True Crime Wifey, did you want to start with the divorce timeline?
Sure. Okay, so I do want to let people know that my puppy is out here with me for a minute. So I hope that I can mute it if he starts barking, but he'll go back in a few minutes. Hi, Liz. Thanks for joining. Okay, so this is a timeline. Bear with me. I do have rough notes. There's a few things that I don't know exactly what got filed on that particular day. But for the most part, all of you will be able to see a pretty good picture of how contentious the divorce is, and then even additional filings after the divorce was finalized. So on September 10th of 2012, Wendi files for divorce. 1 week later, on the 17th, she files a parenting certificate dated July 27th, 2012. Basically, it is Florida law whenever you are getting a divorce and you have children in common, both parents have to take a parenting class and get a certificate in the parenting class. So this goes to show you that a month and a half before Wendi files, she's completed her parenting class and has a certificate. On October 4th of 2012, Dan files an answer to the dissolution of marriage, which is basically a petition for divorce.
Oh, True Crime Wifey, did you want to add about, because I think it came through in this trial how vindictive it was, the way that they notified Dan to maximize how devastating it was to him. That came through in Rob's testimony.
Yes, and yesterday I did a short live, like a 30-something minute live, and I did discuss that a little bit. Tamara Demko, in her interview with Isom, and I believe her interview was on the 20th or the 21st, so a day or two after. Actually, I think it was late night on the 20th, because she was able to tell Isom stuff from Dan's memorial that they had in Tallahassee on July 20th. But she talked about, Dan Markel called it a Pearl Harbor, right? Like I guess like an ambush, if you will.
Yeah.
And we learned during testimony that Donna was in Tallahassee and, moving mad and, finding Wendi a rental home. She put it in her maiden name, Donna's maiden name, which is Jacobs. And they basically planned not only the divorce filing, but also the call to Dan when he is at a conference out of town. And let's say, he's at an all-day conference and he's the keynote speaker at, after lunch at 1:30 p.m. And Wendi planned it where she called him right before he's about to speak in front of a whole bunch of people, like a room full of people, to tell him, I'm out of here. And Rob testified that Donna sounded pleased that they were basically able to fool Dan in that manner.
Yeah, he used the word gleeful. I found
gleeful.
That his mom was gleeful when she was recounting to Rob. Rob is like the So the family structure, yeah, Rob is the ethical, courageous one that escaped eventually his mom's manipulation, and it was the first time he has testified. And yeah, it was heartbreaking. I admire him so much, but yeah, that word really struck me that he was recounting his mom was gleeful at how they planned it to be just before Dan was about to go on stage. Like, when I first heard about that, and I know they'd referred to, we'd heard it previously, yeah, as you were saying, the Dan referred to as the Pearl Harbor. I could see, even if someone isn't trying to be devastating to their spouse, that it is like you might move out when they're out of town, just pragmatically. But I think that was part of it. But to know that they were gleeful in maximizing how devastating it was to Dan, that was new. And yeah, another level of malice, even at that stage, that was so, yeah. Anyway.
Well, yeah. And so, and I'm sorry, my point about, I did get a little sidetracked when I started talking about Dan saying Pearl Harbor, but Tamara Demko, she tells Isom that she wouldn't put it past Wendi to essentially, these are not her words, but essentially like have orchestrated something against Dan in this manner because of how she orchestrated leaving him and the divorce almost 2 years before. Like Tamara Demko tells Isom that in her interview.
2 years before, that would have been when her youngest was, so when Dan was
what I mean is when Tamara Demko is talking to Isom after Dan's been shot and has passed away, and she's been over to Wendi's house. Remember, she wasn't invited. She drove over to Wendi's house. And she's telling Isom that she wouldn't put it past Wendi to be able to orchestrate this murder because of how she was able to orchestrate leaving Dan and filing for divorce almost 2 years before in 2012.
Oh, right. And again, yeah, her parents came in to help her, and they thought out the details of which I think I only became aware of it in this trial anyway, that yeah, they had rented a house for her, not in Wendi's maiden name, but in her mother's, in Donna's maiden name. So yeah, you wouldn't.
Right, yeah, because Wendi's maiden name is Adelson, so she's never changed her name. Yeah, it was in Donna Jacobs' name, pretty much.
And
which is her maiden name.
Yeah, they didn't tell Dan at first where she even was, and yeah, that made it harder for him to figure out. Well, yeah, that because it wasn't even in Wendi's name.
Yeah, and I see, yeah, Rosemary says it shows how vindictive Donna and Wendi are, just like how Donna sabotaged the wedding with the kosher style meal.
Oh, that's true. Oh my gosh. And that, you know what? I noticed that Wendi was even asked about, and I wondered if it was a reference to the wedding. They say in this trial, because you thought Dan would be happy to move to Miami with all like the kosher food is easy to find, blah, blah, blah. And Wendi's agreeing with that. And it made me think of, yeah, Miami is, as the prosecutor was underscoring, it is easy to find kosher food in Miami.
Yeah.
They planned the wedding. Dan thought, he was kosher, he thought the wedding would be kosher. He invited a lot of people who were also kosher, and Dan's parents are actually paying for half the food, and were told, yeah, the kosher food. And Donna apparently told the caterers to lie about it being kosher. But then I guess the rabbi went into the kitchen and found out it's not like it's kosher, in Wendy's words, kosher style, but it wasn't actually kosher, properly kosher, which would be.
Yeah, and what kosher style is not a thing, right? Like it's either kosher or not. You're either pregnant or not. There's no in between.
Yeah. I mean, for it to be, I guess, even the saying like, oh, it's not kosher, is like, yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly what, but I think it was like and they were trying to kosher style in the sense that if like Dan hadn't, or actually it wasn't Dan, but the rabbi in that at the wedding who went to investigate, like that they would have actually, for instance, like I assume there was no pork served, or like shellfish,
like
but
no
yeah,
meat and cheese mixed.
Yeah, like I assume it was all like, so you wouldn't necessarily like superficially be able to
But
tell.
none of it had probably been prepared
Yeah, exactly.
with the Jewish faith.
Yeah, like the way the animals, I mean, are there's a number of criteria to actually satisfy kosher food. But that's such a good point. Like that early on, Donna was being vindictive, even though it seemed like she had on J-Date with Wendi picked Dan out. They picked him out together as they wanted to, this is for their first son. They were upset he wasn't marrying someone Jewish, and manipulated him, or was he wanted initially, and he did eventually marry her when he broke free from his mother's manipulation. But they were able to manipulate their oldest son so effectively at the time that he broke up with the love of his life, and then briefly did marry a Jewish woman that satisfied his mom, but realized that was a mistake, and he is luckily now with the love of his life. But anyway, so Donna was like manipulating her oldest son, that he had to marry someone Jewish. But then with Wendi, she wanted someone Jewish, but didn't want the hassle of kosher. Although the wedding thing is like beyond hassle. Like that does seem that it was vindictive, because it would have been so easy to get, Miami.
I believe that Donna, I truly believe this. This is my opinion. I believe other people have said this, but Donna gained disdain for Dan Markel when he left his high-powered attorney job in DC and chose to teach. I truly believe that. And it was before they got married.
Oh, that's really interesting, because I was wondering when the shift, given that Donna picked him out, and she liked the pedigree. He was he had gone to Harvard, both undergrad, law school, and although it seemed like then Wendi got jealous or competitive of that later on as well. But anyway, they picked him out. So unless it's just that like Donna can't help but
no, Wendi. Okay, so Wendi was super envious of him. They weren't even allowed to speak about Dan's Harvard education at the wedding.
Yeah,
no one was allowed to mention it, because, well, allegedly Wendi had applied to Harvard but didn't get in. But she tells people that she did. But there's no info really around that. That's the rumor, I think.
Yeah, and wasn't it Dan even that had to go around his friends and say like, so Dan
don't say anything about Harvard
that like upsets Wendi. Yeah, Wendi went to
Who does that?
Brandeis.
Who
Was it
does that?
Brandeis? I know, that's so weird. Instead of being like proud, wasn't that why they chose him? They were like, or one of the, on paper, that's what they saw in his profile. He went to Harvard. You would think she would be proud of that. But instead, she felt
like in my opinion, when you meet your partner, your life partner, and you're going to get married, like you want to prop that person up. Like you want to talk about like the good things about him, or this amazing intelligent person that chose me to marry. I don't know, maybe I'm just
no, absolutely. I mean, when especially you're at the stage, that stage of, and Wendi was impressive. That's the thing. Like, she didn't need to feel insecure.
Her resume was impressive.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Her resume. But like if we're talking like school, she, let's see.
And so real quick, Allison, I want to say hello to people who've joined us.
Oh yeah.
I see Patricia Burns is here.
Hey Patricia.
Liz, I think I said Liz earlier. John Smith. Patty's Playhouse has joined. Hi, Patty. Good to see you. And Baby Doll. I don't think I missed anyone. I hope not. Oh, Jennifer Ray. Hi. Oh, Justice Jane is here as well. Raven. Oh, we've been talking for a minute. I'm going all the way up. I think I got everyone. Hi and welcome. Thank you for joining us.
So Wendi went to Brandeis. She, in the podcast, which we're gonna show, she has this like humble brag of like she graduated valedictorian of her high school, but she makes it like a humble brag. Oh, but she thinks her mom was more proud of that, of that she graduated a virgin than that she graduated valedictorian. But you feel like it's a way of just her like dropping that she was valedictorian of her high school, and she had like some various scholarships. She actually went to University of Cambridge. I think Dan, I know he was obviously Cambridge, Massachusetts, but I think like Dan also like independent. I don't think they met there, but I thought he also had like a master's degree from Cambridge, Cambridge, England.
Yeah, they both went there, but it wasn't at the same time. Like they didn't cross paths there.
Yeah.
But I don't know, in my opinion, when someone's bragging about, my mom's so proud of me for being a virgin when I graduated high school, like I just think automatically that it's the opposite. That like it's
I know, I exactly. I wondered if that was true, especially with what we kind of found out about Wendi since.
Or maybe she just, decided to start sowing her oats when she was already married. I don't know. It's weird. I just think that that's an odd thing to. Ugh. And I already told Allison, like the podcast gives me the EBGBs. And when Wendy's, interview was released to the public, and I do think that a local person, Deep Dive, I actually think that he was probably the one who posted it. I never really paid attention to, whose channel I was watching when I started seeing things come out on YouTube. So, but I do believe he posted it. But I almost can't stomach her interview, like her interview with Isom, because that wasn't released to the public until like 2016. So like when I first saw that, it probably was sometime in 2016 when I first saw her interview with Isom, and it's edited, but when I first saw that, like I don't know, my spidey sense went off big time. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I felt that way too, except to be honest, I had listened to the Wondery podcast. I already thought Wendi was involved, and I do wonder if like I didn't already have that opinion. What I would like to think that I would have seen through it, but I'm not sure. Like I did think she was an effective. Oh, that was another thing that came out in this trial. Yeah, Donna was looking up and sending to Wendi how to teach an actress emotion, and the messages about to Donna. Actually, we already knew about one of these actress messages, but that search, I don't think we oh, I didn't know about. She said to Wendi during the divorce, like, you need to be an actress. I know you can do a good acting job when you try, blah blah blah. So yeah, that was, it belied Donna's sobbing, like the acting that I think Donna's putting on in this trial. And yeah, it was also yeah, I thought implicated them both in being actresses. Anyway, sorry, yeah, I'm jumping right. True Crime Wifey and I have talked about how, like, we both have ADHD. So,
Okay, so I'll continue. So real quick, I only got to like 3 dates. So, okay, September 10th of 2012, Wendi files for divorce. A week later, on the 17th, she files the parenting certificate dated July 27th, 2012. So it's approximately a month and a half prior to her filing. She had already taken the parenting class. On October 4th of 2012, Dan files an answer to the dissolution of marriage petition. Wendi files.
oh, can I just jump in one thing about the parenting class? I mean, yeah, the parenting certificate. You're like, listen, no, we didn't even get beyond that the last time you interjected. But it does show, like, how far in advance Wendi was planning it, and Dan had no idea. And so that does show that Wendi, and Dan's obviously a perceptive person, that she was able to hide, even like within like her own home, that she was planning this from at least that far back, right? Like, Donna's probably like finding you need the parenting class. Yeah.
Okay, so in addition to this, Ryan Cox was interviewed by Isom. I'm sorry, she was interviewed by Detective Cherry at the TPD Tallahassee Police Department. And that's when she revealed she's actually Dan Markel's friend for the most part. But that's, she reveals that Wendi came over on the day before Dan was shot and unloaded a whole bunch of outgrown clothes for the boys, right? One less box to pack. But she also told Detective Cherry during that interview that she had discussed with Dan the divorce and everything that happened. And Dan denied ever going to counseling. He said that Wendi wouldn't. So that was a little tidbit that I caught on when I watched Ryan Cox's video that was posted on the Shaming of Jay's channel. I believe it was posted maybe about a year ago, but he reposted it earlier today. And I was listening to it while I was, doing some house chores. And I'm like, oh, because all of the information that we have in regards to, the details surrounding that is stuff that Wendi has said later, like, that she went to counseling, they did marriage counseling. It just didn't work. Dan told Ryan Cox that they never went to counseling because Wendi refused.
That's interesting. So yeah, Wendi, now that Dan is dead, like, Wendi can claim whatever narrative, and Dan's not there to dispute it. We just have like people that he's talked to. Yeah, and you can tell, like, even in this trial, like, narrative is shifting compared to her testimony in the trial before that, and so on.
Okay, so we're in. Okay, Dan files an answer on October 4th for the answer to the petition to end the marriage, and Wendi files on December 5th of 2012. She files like a continuance for her reply to Dan's answer. On January 14th of 2013, Wendi files an amended divorce petition. And then that's when she starts talking about relocation. And there's a request for her to relocate to the boys to Miami. 8 days later, on the 22nd of January, there is a family law order for the monies, like for everybody's assets to be presented to the court. February 20th of 2013, Dan files an answer to, I guess the money stuff gets filed. And then Dan files an answer on February 20th of 2013, and he is seeking sole parental custody of the boys. So, okay, because I think at that point he's like, no, this money thing is wrong. I've been honest, but she hasn't. 2.5 months later, so nothing happens with Wendi, but 2.5 months later, on May 2nd of 2013, Dan files another motion, basically saying she needs to answer to this money, to her money affidavit that she filed back in January, because it's wrong. The day after Dan files that motion, well, and I'm saying Dan files, of course, it's like his attorney. The day after, on the 3rd of May of 2013, Donna emails Wendi, and that's the big, like, in the subject line, it's the caps, relocation is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Am I saying it? So the day after, right? On the 5th and 6th of May, Dan files some motions, but I'm a little bit unclear about what they were. Okay, I just have to be honest. Like, they're confusing. On June 13th of 2013, Wendi files another motion for relocation. 7 days later, on the 20th of June of 2013, Judge Barbara Hobbs denies relocation, period. And what we learned from this trial, because I don't think that this has ever come out before, but what we just learned is that Wendi basically gave up and said, okay, and it was denied with prejudice, meaning you cannot revisit this issue in this divorce. Relocation was finite, like, right? Final, done. You're not moving, Wendi. So that was
in a previous
June 20th.
In Charlie's trial, they brought up that motion. Yeah, it was denied with prejudice, and Wendi.
Okay, I missed that.
Wendi denied knowing what that meant, and she's a lawyer. Like, even
well, she didn't know what contempt of court meant either.
Yeah. She does this I'm just a girl kind of routine, doughy eye. She's clearly very intelligent, and and pretending she doesn't know what these things, that just shows that she's lying.
Okay, so 5 days later, after the relocation is, done for, on the 25th of June of 2013, Donna emails Wendi, and that's the plan of action email. 2 days after that, Donna is emailing Wendi again, right? This is one thing I want to kind of point out is that in a lot of the emails that Donna is emailing Wendi, or even in text, Wendi's not answering on that phone, because I believe she had like a burner phone, or maybe she's discussing things, over the phone, but she's not leaving an electronic like record of her answering Donna. Like there's a lot of emails or even texts that are, from Donna to Wendi, and
Yeah.
Wendi doesn't respond electronically, if you will.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so on July 30th of 2013, Wendi and Dan signed the marital settlement agreement. And the day after, on July 31st of 2013, their divorce is considered final, right?
So
Their
this is
divorce
like
is granted.
almost a year before his death, like the July of the previous year. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a year before his death, and roughly 10 and a half months from when Wendi first filed for divorce. Okay, post-divorce. In September of 2013, Jeffrey Lacasse and Wendi Adelson meet. On October 31st of 2013, Wendi files a motion to enforce the MSA, which is the marriage settlement agreement. I sometimes say marital settlement agreement or marriage settlement agreement. The MSA, we'll call it the MSA. And she's asking for, because, okay, Dan owes her $120,000 for the house. And she's asking for $50,000 to basically be given to her immediately. There's nothing in the court records until January 30th of 2014. And Dan Markel writes a check to Wendi for $54,725. Not $50K, but he gave her an extra $4,000 plus. On the same day Dan pays her this check, he files a motion stating that Wendi has breached the MSA, and it gives him the right to withhold any additional funds for the house. 5 days later, on February 4th of 2014, Wendi files a protection order against Dan in family court to depose her. So basically, she's filing, she's trying to get out of being deposed in regards to the money stuff. And when I say money stuff, I'm talking about how she's lied about assets. On the same day, Dan files a counter motion stating that Wendi has to reveal all of her assets. On February 18th of 2014, this is when Donna emails Wendi about case strategy, and they call him Elvis and all of that kind of stuff. On March 7th to the 11th is when Jeffrey Lacasse and Wendi Adelson travel down to Immokalee, Florida for alternative spring break. And that's when alternative spring break, well, Jeff's explained this. It's when you go and do like community service event instead of, going to the beach and partying. Like a lot of kids go, so they need professors to kind of like supervise.
Oh, that's cool. I wondered what that was.
Yeah. In Immokalee, Florida, there is a large migrant population, lots of farmland. And I used to actually work for that. I used to work for the Center for Civic Education and Service many years ago at FSU. And alternative spring break, like that was, it wasn't, well, it was kind of one of my programs, but other people were like in charge of it. I just made sure that the notices got out to the students at FSU, that they were aware that all of these other alternative spring breaks existed and they could get community service. Because FSU was one, and this is just a side note, guys, but I think it's very cool. FSU was one of the first universities in the country to actually put on students' transcripts community service hours if they did more than 20 per semester. So it was a good way to get, 20 hours of community service by going on this trip. And they also had other trips. They had international trips, like for nursing programs, and they did a whole bunch of stuff. And it used to
That's
be
cool.
called, I don't know if
Yeah.
it's called the Serve Script program anymore, but yeah, the Serve Script program used to be my program 20 plus years ago. And I'd go in there and enter everyone's hours in, and I'd
Oh, that's so
call
awesome.
and validate. I'd call and validate the hours if they looked a little, because a lot of times, you might get like a whole bunch of them, and you could see all these students. Let's just say that they did Immokalee and the signature was like the same, but then you get like a random student and the signature wasn't the same. So then I'd have to call like the head person in Immokalee to say, hey, did you guys have this person on your list? And they would say, oh yeah, and I'd say, well, who is such and such that signed this form? It doesn't look like the others, that kind of stuff, like verifying the community service hours. Sorry.
No, that's really that's cool to know about. And yeah, I had wondered what the alternative spring break was.
Well, and a lot of other universities in the country started doing that type of thing because there are students who volunteer all the time. So if
Yeah.
you're doing more than 20 hours, there's a lot of universities and colleges, they followed suit, which I
Yeah.
think is kind of cool.
No, that's a cool way of promoting community service among the students, and yeah, also giving them credit for it.
Yeah, not everybody's partying all the time at college. They're actually studying and, giving back to their communities.
So I did. Oh, did you want to?
Oh, no. You go ahead, and then I know where we.
Oh, well, I just wanted to address Liz's comment because it is going back way before in the timeline. Yeah, so it came out in this trial. It was really a sad message. Wendi was writing to a friend that even at her wedding, she felt like she didn't love Dan, and she felt like she was an actress in someone else's.
That was Tamara Demko.
Wendi was.
Tamara Demko. Yeah, she had that conversation with Tamara Demko before she married Dan. And remember, Tamara Demko had known Dan since they were undergrads at Harvard.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it made me wonder, like, oh, is it Donna's?
Tamara told her to back out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like Tamara wouldn't want her friend to marry someone that didn't love him. I mean, that's just a mistake all around, like for everyone involved. It's interesting, like Donna basically got Rob to do the same thing, like marry someone that he didn't love. At first, he was in love with this woman who wasn't Jewish. Donna exerted all kind of pressure, disowning him. And
yeah, but see, from Wendy's point of view, look where that got Rob over time. It got him basically banished from the family. She didn't want to be banished from the family. She needed them. I think some things have to do with money in regards to Wendi. That's just my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I think that Donna pushed her into marrying Dan.
Yeah, that's what I'm. That is what I'm also. That's what I was. That's what I was meaning. That Donna got her oldest son to marry someone that he didn't love, because he married this woman. A woman that was Jewish that his mom approved of, and then that he realized he didn't love this woman, and so that was a short marriage. And then he did marry his love of his life, and he's still married to her. So like Donna at first got Rob to marry someone he didn't love, and now, or like, several years later, she's getting Wendi to marry someone she doesn't love, that she approves of, or first approved of. Because when she's talking about like being an actress in someone else's play or something to that effect, like, it made me wonder, like, oh, is it Donna's play that Wendi feels like she's being an actress in? It's also occurred to me, like, maybe Wendy's just not capable of like loving someone. And anyway, but all those things could be the case.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you guys want me to continue?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were at the March 7th to the 11th of 2014 is when alternative spring break in Immokalee is going on. On March 11th of 2014 is the Yardbird dinner, where Jeffrey Lacasse, Wendi, Katie, and Charlie are all eating dinner on, like, in the outdoor area of Yardbird. And Tuto and Tato are watching this dinner from a vehicle. You know that, right, Allison?
I had heard that, but it only really came across to me in this trial how much everything, and to be honest, I didn't watch like the other
Louise.
trials
Okay,
entirely. So it might have already been out there. And even, to be honest, this trial I haven't been able to I've watched most of it, but yeah,
Luis Rivera revealed this early on when he was interviewed by Isom, Sanford's there. I don't think his attorney Chuck Collins was there at the time. I guess it's called his proffer. It's the one interview that we've all seen of Luis Rivera in the room with everyone. I think that Chuck Collins' dad, I forgot his first name, something Collins, is in there. It might be James, but he's in there. So yeah, he revealed that at that point, that they were in a vehicle basically spying on Jeffrey Lacasse, Wendi, Katie, and Charlie, all eating on the patio of the Yardbird. Okay, so we're on 3/11. March 26th of 2014, Dan files what we know as the grandma motion. He says, he says that he's heard Donna call him stupid. His kids are like, Grandma doesn't want you to take her sunshines away. All of that. This particular motion, there is tons of information in it, and we've all seen it, some of it during the trial. On April 11th, Dan files another motion, but I don't know exactly what that is. Remember, I told you some of this I do have question marks back, so just bear with me. I'm sorry. They're like handwritten notes. Sometimes I can't read stuff, but I don't have. He might have.
Basically, True Crime Wifey said because she's been following this from the day that she heard an FSU professor was shot, she like grabbed, even on that day, started taking notes in a notepad, and has been jotting down notes as she hears any new updates.
And there's like, because sometimes I'll be following something, or and then I'll skip several pages, like to leave blank pages, and then I'll start something else, like to go back to it, and then it's I do say this a lot, like it looks like a truck ran it over, and that's the truth. And it's not tabbed, so everything's all over the place. And I've been transcribing. I actually just transcribed something for another YouTube channel recently, and I had sent that person. I don't think he wants me to say his name, but he's done a series of videos, and one thing that he got incorrect recently, and that kind of sparked an email correspondence between me and the other person, and I transcribed some stuff for him based on a whole nother aspect of this case, because he's very artistic and like kind of out there with his videos, but they're informative and they're kind of cool to watch. So, all right, okay. On May 5th of 2014, Dan files a motion, and this is the parental alienation was the priority. This is a motion where Daniel Webster is now Dan's attorney. That might be what was filed in April 11th. Dan might have filed a motion to show the court that he was getting a new attorney. So then by May 5th of 2014 is when Webster is involved. Okay, less than a month later, on June 4th of 2014, this is when the first attempt on Dan's life occurs. And this is when Luis Rivera and Sigfredo Garcia, they stay at the Budget Inn that's on Tennessee Street. Okay, this is different than the Roadhouse Inn on North Monroe, but they stay at the Budget Inn on Tennessee Street, and they meet Shadrach Nobles for the first time. That Budget Inn is closed and called something else now. I don't know. This is sketchy. On the same day, June 4th of 2014, Wendi and Jeffrey Lacasse have their date at Red Eye Coffee, and I do have a video on my channel of me driving by Red Eye showing people Red Eye. My driving videos are kind of funny. Like, I look back on them and I'm kind of embarrassed, but I'm leaving them up. They're funny. I don't have any camera skills, y'all. So at this Red Eye Coffee date, this is when Wendi cancels her California trip with Jeffrey that is supposed to occur on July 11th through the 17th. And just for folks who
you've gone beyond the date of the first planned assassination attempt?
Oh, I'm actually on the date.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay. So okay, yeah. We'll take a break. Just let me say something real quick, because I just want to let everybody know, like, if they've heard Jeffrey's interviews with TPD, he says the 11th through the 19th, but he is mistaken, because in documentation that he sends to TPD later, like his emails and flight info, it's actually July 11th through the 17th. They are supposed to be back on Thursday, the 17th. In his interviews, he says the 19th, but he's backed it up. There's through emails and flight records that they were supposed to be back on the 17th, which is the day before the shooting is to occur. Okay. Yes, Allison, now you.
But why is she canceling? I thought she canceled wanting to go with him to California because she said she wouldn't be there in time to pick up her kids. That was the actual date that he ended up.
The
but at this point of the time frame, you're saying this is still the date where that was first planned. So why would she?
Yeah, this happens. Okay, so.
Did she know they had pulled out already or something? Because I don't really understand why she.
Well, it didn't end up happening. The June attempt did not end up happening, and I believe it's because Dan Markel goes to dinner with Tamara Demko for her birthday, but it's a day late, and Dan is not home.
Oh, wow. But Wendi, on that date, she doesn't, presumably did they already have the second date arranged? I imagined when it didn't go down, wouldn't it take some time to make that arrangement? Or she's already knowing the date that the first one doesn't go down. Okay, we have this second date scheduled then.
Yeah, I think that she knows that it didn't happen.
Oh, okay. So the thing that okay, stepping back then, I think before maybe I'm just misunderstanding this, but on the first date that was supposed to go down, Jeffrey Lacoste says that she was a nervous wreck. So she was still thinking it was going down at that point, right? I assume that's why she was a nervous wreck.
I think, well, okay, so if we follow Luis Rivera and Sigfredo Garcia's travel stuff from Miami, Sigfredo rents a car on the 2nd of June and they're supposed to leave. He gets a speeding ticket in that car and then turns around and goes and rents another car. So the first car he rents is the silver, is this silver Altima, and then the second one he rents is like a light blue
the first
Hyundai.
one was like exactly Jeffrey Lacoste's car.
Yes.
A Nissan, right? And then he goes back and they can't get a Nissan, but Ultima basically is a similar looking one. So yeah, when we talk about like, oh, it was a car that looked like Jeffrey Lacoste's, it was even like the crime was committed in, but first attempt, the car was even closer. Like it was exactly Jeffrey Lacoste's car, model, etc.
Well, Jeff was driving a Sentra, but back then the Altimas and the Sentras didn't look. I mean, they I don't know, they didn't look extremely different. It's not like he was driving a Maxima, which is like the more luxurious of those Nissan cars. So like the Altima and the Sentra were both like much smaller and like 4 doors. Like kind of like how the old Camrys and Corollas were similar, but now they're different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he ends up renting the second vehicle that he rents is like a silvery blue, but it's a Hyundai. Probably a Sonata or something, Elantra, something. So, and I'm trying to remember. Okay, I know I'm not going to be able to find this in the notes, but there's a lot of texting and calls going on like crazy between Donna and Charlie to Katie and Katie to Sigfredo and then back down the chain. There's a lot of calls happening crazily between the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th, between all of them. So, and Sigfredo and Luis don't end up leaving Miami until the 3rd. Or maybe early morning, the 4th. Like I think maybe early morning on the 4th. So then on the 5th, because it doesn't go down, I don't know if it was supposed to happen on the 3rd or the 4th, but it's one of those 2 days. But because it doesn't go down, that's when Sigfredo and Luis are still in town in a blue car, like in a light silvery blue car, not a silver Altima Nissan. And then they basically drive around and follow Dan on the 5th of June all over the place. And they're scoping out the home, the park, the entire area where the kids go to school. They're scoping all of that out on the 5th, and then they return back to Miami late.
It also came out in this trial that Donna had the license plate number in her notes, license plate number, model of Dan's car, which is, to me, it's really odd. It's like her ex-son-in-law, she has his license plate number noted. Like, I don't even have our own license plate. I'd have to look at the actual car to so yeah, basically that makes me think that she was passing on, well, probably Wendy's the one that gave her that information, but they were passing that on to the hitmen as well.
Yes.
yeah.
So did you want to talk more about that? Did you want to? Was that the point that you wanted to make about the fourth? What? I'm sorry.
Oh, about the I just wanted you mean when I was asking about the I just I was confused with the time frame of when you were referring to the basically it there was the evidence that Jeffrey Lacoste said that Wendi was a nervous wreck the day the first attempt was, or the first plan of assassinating Dan Markel. And I guess so then when that didn't go down, they're planning the next date, and in July she's supposed to had already scheduled, and they'd even bought flights with Jeffrey Lacoste to California. She says to Jeffrey Lacoste, I want to cancel that trip because I'm afraid I won't be back in time to pick up the kids. And he's like, that doesn't really make sense, because it struck him as odd, because that she should be back in plenty of time, and she has like an understanding in terms of like wanting to spend time with the kids. Like, she has an ex-husband that would have no problem picking the kids up if her flight was delayed a day. So
well, okay, so this is another point. You just made me think of this. This is another point. So okay, so Dan has plans already, and Wendi has plans as well in the month of June, early July, to be out of town, because Dan returned back into Tallahassee after a 2-week trip from New York, or in New York, on June 11th. So Dan was going to be leaving, right? And another thing is that, remember, Jeffrey only had a couple of times that he was leaving town, like in order to pin it on him. So I think that, I mean, maybe they already had a backup date when it didn't happen in those first few days of June, because they're going to pin it, they're going to try to pin it on Jeffrey as he's leaving town. 1, 2, Dan is out of town a lot, back and forth in the month of June and early July. And Wendi also goes to South Florida, I believe it's like June 28th or 29th, and stays there for 2 weeks, until like the day before or 2 days before Dan is coming back to town from New York, after he's been with Amy for 2 weeks, and she's been in South Florida with the boys.
Oh yeah, for people that if they aren't familiar, Amy Adler, he started dating this really impressive, beautiful woman who's also a lawyer. I think Wendi was jealous of, and at NYU. So yeah, that's Amy Adler, who Wendi also tries to implicate, or at least implicate Amy Adler's ex-husband. Anyway, but that's the Amy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, for people that are
okay. And we got way behind in the chat, so I want to say hi. 850 came. She asked about 5 minutes ago if I was on Web Sleuths. No, I have never been on any type of chat or anything like that. I did used to read the WCTV comment board. It used to be through like DISQ, like DISQU something. They've deleted that. You didn't have to have any type of email address to type in there. I used to read everybody's comments in there. Some of them, that's when like all the different theories were coming out, just a local thing. But no, I've never been. She asked if I was on Web Sleuths, but no, I've never been on Web Sleuths. I see that. I'm sorry. I see Gladys Kravitz has joined us. Rebecca Rose is here. Daisy Jane. I just want to say hi to everyone, because I know, like, oh, hi, Melissa. Melissa's here. Because Allison and I will get going, and then we go off. And oh, Max is here. Hi. We kind of go off on a Max. Tangent.
Oh, Max was thank you for your post. She's been posting about my mother's case, trying to get some public, bring further public awareness. No, thank you so much, Max.
Yes. Oh, Sherry D is here. So I'm trying to go back. Daisy Jane, did I say that? I just want to say, my dog name is Bo, has arrived.
Okay.
A little behind. So I just wanted to make sure that we're saying hello to everyone in the chat, and we are trying to we're trying to stay on a not go off on too many tangents, but they've all been relevant. Allison.
I know it's hard. This case, it's hard for us, and I think it's just hard with so many tangents. Like there's so many players in this. It is hard to follow all the names, and for instance, probably a lot of people, if they hadn't already been following the case, they're not familiar with, for example, like who Amy Adler is. One thing before talking about the failed attempt, it does there's many terrible and stupid things that strike me about like the Adelson family and Wendi, but one of them was because I think it's one of the worst pieces of evidence against her. Why did she drive by the crime scene? It was completely out of her way. She claims like it was not a shortcut. That's really clear. But I think with there already having been a failed attempt, she was all the more impatient to see if it was really done. And that was, before the hitmen she passed by the crime scene before the hitmen had even like turned their phones back on. It was before Wendi would have been notified by, any of her co-conspirators. So I think she was just impatient to see if it was really done this time. Oh, True Crime Wife, you're still there, right?
Oops. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. That's all I wanted to say about the. Yeah. Go ahead with the. Are you still going through the? Yeah, we're still going through the time frame, right?
Yes. We were on the 4th. Oh, the 5th. Tudo and Tato continue to stay here, and then that's when they're really like driving around and scoping out the entire area. And see, this is when like that, it's one of the reasons why I did the video behind the Trescott homes, in between Ashford Apartments and the Trescott homes, like with the drainage ditch. It's all been redone now. It was redone between 2021 and 2022. But there's still a ditch. It's just about 6 feet or maybe deeper dug out to allow drainage. And then, after the shooting, there's a lady, I'm not going to say her name, but there's a lady in the police documents that calls from Ashford Apartments and says that she saw 2 guys in a similar vehicle that went behind Ashford Park, and then they came back, and one was kind of wet from the waist down, and that and she told them the description. We still haven't been told at this point in time if that lead ever came to fruition. I don't know if we're ever going to know, but I did like a walk, and I don't know. I have all kinds of, walking scenery videos. Oh, Kristen H is here. Hi, Kristen. Oh, Leslie B is here too. Hi. Okay.
Oh, hey, Leslie. Yeah, Leslie's been doing shorts on Wendi going down as well.
Okay, so my timeline is when there's going to be a little bit of information here and there. Well, my timeline at this point kind of doesn't really talk about any more details around the divorce. Maybe but now it's just kind of like a timeline of what happens between June 5th up until the shooting. So, like on the 15th of June is Father's Day. That's the beach trip photo with Katie Magbanua, Yendra, and Wendi Adelson. In between, so this is another key time. The
Even
weekend of June.
of Father's Day gives me chills when they were actively planning to assassinate a father, including on Father's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. I actually, after going through the timeline, yeah, I do think this is an interesting point that Daisy Chain is, but we'll come back to that. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Don't have to come my
yeah, and I have and I want okay. So Sherry D just chatted, but she's 100% correct. Wendi lied about like that Charlie was not at the beach because Charlie actually took the picture. Yendra told us that.
Oh,
not only on Jay's channel,
yeah,
but also on AA Legal Focus, that Charlie was there and he took the photo.
Okay, that makes sense. I assume Charlie was there. And has Wendi changed that from the last time? Because that seemed, although that even seemed to implicate in a way Wendi even more if she was meeting up with the middle woman without Charlie. But yeah, okay, that makes sense that Charlie was there and took the picture.
Okay, between June 28th and 29th is when Jeffrey Lacasse and Wendi Adelson are on the Gainesville trip. And they kind of have that little, argument. And he confronts her on all the cheating. And she, lays down on the ground in fetal position, crying in the hotel room. Okay, sorry. On the same weekend is when
I've wondered about the cheating. Like, I think she wanted him to come across, like, towards the end as a jealous boyfriend to other people.
100%.
So, like,
yes.
Even though she seems distraught about like when I first heard the story, how she was distraught, it sounded about her like realizing in quotes that she was cheating. Yeah, it sounded like she didn't want him to know, but yeah, by now
he had found just like a week or two before that, I can't remember exactly when, but he had found her like agenda planner that was, a hard copy paper planner, and he saw Daniel Sack, and like all of these dates of hers between like March, and Daniel Sack moved out of town, I believe it was like May 20th or 21st or so. But that's how Jeffrey Lacasse ends up figuring out that Wendi was with Daniel Sack at his apartment one day, and then later on with him at that same night. And
but did he want him to figure that out? Like when she said, he discovered it was she leaving the plan around because she wanted him to then get?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think yes, but other people might differ with me, but I believe so, yeah.
Because, possibly she wanted him to know, but didn't want to be confronted at that specific time. I don't know.
But even before Jeffrey goes into that agenda, he's already seen like the slap marks on her behind coming back from conferences and stuff, and then he's still staying with her. So Wendi knows. Yeah, Wendi knows that she has him by his testicles. Excuse my language, but I mean, Wendi knows that she's got him. Like and she picked him. He's like a social worker. He's going to work it out. Let's work it out. Let me go talk to my therapist about it. Let me keep listening to Wendi. Well, instead of like, normal dudes would be like, peace out, sister. Like they would be gone. But he's like empathetic. He's, he thinks he's won the chick lotto. Like he is in love with this girl. He no, she's got him under a spell.
Yeah, that's
I
what
mean, I'm kind of, I'm being a little, I'm being sarcastic and a little dramatic.
No, that's how he described it to the detectives.
So this is what's very interesting about the same weekend that Wendi Adelson and Jeffrey are in Gainesville is the same weekend that Charlie Adelson and Catherine Magbanwa are in Key West, and they're calling it their goodbye tour, their goodbye trip, because they're quote unquote breaking up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Katie
That's
and
the picture.
Charlie?
Yeah. Katie and Charlie are taking those pictures where she doesn't have breasts in the, they showed that picture a lot where they both look real tan and cute. She doesn't have the boob job yet.
Wait, but is she?
And they're on a goodbye tour in Key West.
But how does that relate?
No, they're faking it. They're faking it. They're putting it out. They're putting it out on social media.
But how did that?
That they're no longer going to be together.
Because they didn't,
to make it look like they're no longer associated with each other after that date.
But wasn't that then evidence that they were? Oh, you mean because that was before the shooting? I mean, like if they're I'm just thinking like they're putting on social media, that's like more evidence that they were at some point associated with each other. But I guess they thought
calling it, I don't know.
They thought it was less concerning, or they thought it was better for them to at least seem like they'd broken up, but then
what I think that they're doing, they might be trying to, I think what I think that they're doing is that I believe that they're trying to maybe fool Sigfredo Garcia, because at the time Katie is going back and forth between Charlie and Sigfredo, right? And then Sigfredo's also running over to Shrimp's house, Tati. That's his girlfriend that he's got on the side. Because hang on, because 2 days after they posted that picture in Key West is July 1st of 2014, and this is the okay. Wait, I just skipped a date. Please, okay, let me go back. 28th, 29th, Katie and Charlie are in the Keys. Wendi and Jeff, and she's rallying them up, and they're in Gainesville. On the 30th of June, this is when Wendi meets Amy Adler for the first time at Dan's door. And she's so intimidated to go to Dan's door to get the kids. She takes Harvey with her to Dan's door to get the kids because she's turning around and going to South Florida for
was that when Amy Adler was there?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I also thought like she was like she did like emotionally want her dad's support because she was jealous of Amy Adler and like felt intimidated by Amy Adler.
Right. So the day after that,
were like they're not mutually exclusive. So yeah.
Okay, so that's June 30th.
See, but I think I'm wrong about so I thought that that Wendi was sort of pushed over the edge to agreeing with this plan because she became like so jealous about Amy Adler and didn't but it sounds like no, this plan was forming well in advance of Amy Adler being in the picture at all.
Yeah, I know. I'll disagree with you, Allison, because I believe that she's the mastermind. But we've discussed this. I mean, we've talked about this. Like,
yeah.
And Amy didn't push her over the edge. This was
But Amy Adler wasn't in the picture for until after, like, well, it sounds like this plan went into motion in October, right? Because that's when Wendi canceled like buying that house and etc. And it
Right.
was Amy, that was like Amy Adler wasn't in the picture until later, right?
I think that Dan probably knew Amy Adler prior to that, but I don't think that
But
she.
Wendi wasn't
But,
aware of
well,
yes,
but I don't think that there was anything romantic going on
okay,
because
yeah.
she
No, that
was
makes sense
she was
that I think
basically like a law
they were
colleague in New
colleagues.
York. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they got serious, Amy and Dan, around January of 2014, because
Okay.
when he was killed, they had been dating seriously for 6 months. And okay, just a side note, and I know that that they didn't provide dates or anything, but to kind of go back to the Greenbergs interview, that's Maya and
Yeah. Those I really
like
like.
they're talking about how, remember, I mean, Dan's kind of bouncing around all over the place before he lands with Amy in January. And okay, and I'm not disparaging him. He is, he's meeting people at conferences and dating them. There's several of them. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I
No,
need to
that
grab
makes
a note.
sense. I mean, like they were divorced then.
Yeah, he's meeting people and he's dating around, and then we have a
Tamara,
date.
am I saying her name right? Tamara seems well. Amy Adler seemed awesome, so that would have. It's sad that he didn't. They uh that relationship. Well, because he was killed. But Tamara also seemed like a wonderful person that he had some interest in. That he'd known
Oh,
for a long time.
I think that she had feelings for him. That's just my opinion, and it's no
I
shade
think
against
so
her. I
too.
think that
In
she
her
had some
victim
feelings.
impact statement letter, she writes about because they met, yeah, as you said, as undergrads at Harvard, that they were, she writes about how extremely close they were, and that she only found out like after the first year, after like the first year at college, that he had actually had a crush on her that first year. So it felt like a
Wait,
near miss. Yeah, which was
oh,
sad because
but
she seemed
that's
like an
but
awesome
that's not
person.
but that's not Tamra, right? That's like the other. What was that
Oh,
woman's
my
name?
feet. Oh, sorry,
No,
sorry.
that's not Tamra at all. That's another
Oh,
girl.
oh,
Yeah,
what was the
no,
other?
I don't think Dan was ever romantically interested in Tamara. And I think, who is saying this in the chat? Yeah, Rosemary is also bringing up that
But I thought the
Tamara
Green Book
Demko was
said
not
that
Jewish.
that Dan was talking about potentially going out. Maybe I'm confusing the
Well,
women,
he well Dan
but then
Dan
like the
took
Greenbergs are like, well, she's not Jewish. You already had conflict over like kosher issue with like your
yeah
previous, and she was Jewish, so like it would. And then Dan said, oh no, but I think she would be willing to like convert, blah blah blah. So that was
yeah
Mara, right?
Yeah, and if you have the unredacted video of Maya or the Greenbergs interview, and you pay close attention, Maya kind of reveals a little bit of information, but I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to talk bad about anybody.
Well, I
But
don't think
she reveals specific information about Dan's dating life in that interview, and she
Oh,
kind of she says something. If you slow it down, you can see what she says.
oh. Now I'm really
Okay,
intrigued.
I'll
Um,
text you later.
okay. But yeah, for those who aren't familiar, Amy Adler was or is like a New York NYU law professor, and Wendi, even in the interrogation or interview, was like that original the day that Dan's murdered. Wendi refers to like admits that she was stalking Amy Adler. That Amy Adler came from like a wealthy family and that they spent a lot of time in the Hamptons, and that even Amy Adler's brother was a like a very successful designer, and that Amy Adler was Amy Adler is beautiful. And although Wendy's in scathing about like, oh, she's really old though. Like she is older. If you look at Amy Adler though, I mean, I think Wendy is like not internally, but like externally, I think she's pretty. Amy Adler, the pictures I've seen of her, she does look beautiful. And so like in all these ways, and she's like she's an attorney as well, but like a more successful attorney than Wendy. She's yeah, I think Wendy felt jealous, and also when she left Dan, she thought that Dan would be pining for her forever, and then then he is, he falls in love with Amy Adler, who is arguably an upgrade in every way from Wendy. So anyway, yeah, I feel so sorry for poor Amy Adler. Oh, I did want to mention, speaking of Amy, then Wendy also throws under the bus I don't know what Amy Adler's ex-husband, he might be jealous of, like implying that Amy Adler's ex-husband may have been the perpetrator, along with her, mentioning her brother and getting her friend to mention Jeffrey Lacrosse, and
Okay. So, okay, I'll continue, and I just mute yourself, Allison, while you read my text, and I'm going to continue. Okay. I just texted you. Okay. Mute yourself in case you scream. Okay. So we're talking about on June 30th, Wendi meets Amy at Dan's door. Harvey walks her to the door. On July 1st of 2014, this is the jet ski incident in South Florida where Tuto, Sigfredo, blocks Charlie and Katie in the road. And then later on, late this night, is when Sigfredo Garcia calls Harvey's cell phone because he's trying to figure out the dentist. And then on July 2nd at 12:43 a.m., so late night on the 1st, is a very long phone call between Charlie and Harvey. Like they talk on the phone, but it's right after Sigfredo has called Harvey's cell phone. So we're going to jump forward a little bit.
I think
we're going to jump forward a little bit because I know other things are happening in this, but I was telling Allison, like, I need to actually put everything in a spreadsheet and then, let it kind of chronologically fix itself because my notes are all over the place. But we could maybe stop. Well, so basically what I have going forward is starting right before the week, or I'm sorry, the week before he's murdered, like starting on the 11th. Oh, another thing I wanted to say is that in Isom's interview, Wendi talks about, that's the weekend. So the weekend before Dan's murdered, which is like Friday's the 11th, Saturday's the 12th. And then we can get into, everything that Jeff has testified to, all of the details around that if you want. But on the
do you have in your timeline the day that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, on the 12th is when, because Harvey and Donna have driven up to Tallahassee with Wendi, returning after Harvey's party and all of that, and Dan has come back on the 11th from visiting New York for 2 weeks. On the 12th is when Wendi takes Donna and Harvey to get a rental car so they can go back to Miami. And I am dying to learn what kind of car was rented for them to go back to Miami. Was it a U-Haul? Was it a big passenger van with the seats removed? Like, I'm thinking that's when a majority of her stuff was transported to
Oh,
Miami because she knew. Like, yeah. But it was not
oh,
uncommon. It wasn't uncommon for them to rent a car and then drive back themselves or fly back or whatever. But this is going to be key. This is
yeah,
going to be
that's really
key in the
interesting.
trial against Wendi.
And yeah, that did we I don't know if we mentioned it today, but yeah, Wendi, it came out in this trial from Jeff Lacoste, because he's testified in others. This particular thing he hadn't mentioned, that Wendi was already starting, like, what he thinks, like, in retrospect, was packing up. She was removing, like, artwork of her kids from the walls, which he said she'd never done before. And so it seemed like she was starting to pack up. Yeah. And she canceled, did I mention already? She came up as well. She canceled her cable, I think. But this is all before Dan was killed. So
Mm-hmm.
even those subtle things, like, and again, it's like they're so cheap. It's like Donna's staying on she doesn't want the $5 reconnection fee, and so, like, they get so much, like, incriminating information, and, like, they make so many financial mistakes out of cheapness, and now they've ended up having to spend, like, millions upon millions for their defenses. Like, not booking a round trip to Vietnam, even if they didn't intend to come back. Anyway, things like that.
Yeah. So just a couple minutes ago, if you scroll down, Rosemary Romero, she's right. She wrote, I don't know if you have the timestamps, but it was a minute ago. She's talking about Sigfredo, and yes, Sigfredo knew that Katie was screwing the dentist. Excuse my language, but we know that in March because Luis and Sigfredo are watching them at the Yardbird, and he's like, why are you messing with Katie? She's messing with this dentist. Leave Katie, forget about Katie. Da 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 da. Whatever Luis says. Of course, it's not the same words, but yeah, Sigfredo is like livid, livid. And yes, he looks up probably the Adelson Institute, and on their message machine, it gives Harvey's cell phone number. And then Sigfredo calls Harvey's cell phone number because he's trying to call Charlie, supposedly.
That's
So yeah, she's right.
actually that's the first piece of evidence. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny that he, like, calls the dad and leaves this.
Well, he's a bumbler. I mean, he's still, he
Oh
shoots
my
out the
gosh, they're
gas
such
line.
fumblers. One of them, like, shot
It's
the gun in the
Sigfredo.
car.
Yeah, it's Sigfredo. You guys,
Like,
he's like wasted. He's coked up. He's drunk the whole time.
they
Luis
shot the
Rivera
gas.
is getting
Right.
so pissed with him.
Yeah, they shot the floor of the car as they were driving, and, like, it hit the gas tank when they're driving to their hit. Which also, once the investigators then tracked down this rental car, then it was very distinctive because it had, like, had been shot and repaired. Yeah,
How funny.
I know, it's not.
Yeah, this is like if I
Hitman.
mean it's a Fargo type
I know.
like scene. It's so much like Fargo, which is, I mean, I like kind of dark comedy, and I'm not trying to make fun of Dan Markel being murdered at all. It's
Oh no.
horrific, but all of these goings on in the outside of things, and like these bumblers, they're it's like they're total idiots.
Yeah.
They're all on the phone yapping.
Yeah, apparently Katie, one of them posts, like, on their social, like Facebook or something, a picture they had taken along the way, and Katie calls them and tells them, take that down. You're not supposed to be, like, posting photographs of where you're going to do a hit job. Anyway, that was
So, Allison, I think that maybe our next live should be like the week of, and we can really get down. It'll help me kind of, coordinate my notes a little bit better. And maybe we want to do some of Wendy's podcasts.
yeah. Okay, let's play Pendy's podcast. And okay,
yeah,
we'll do a week of for our part.
Because I think this is kind of like giving us a little bit of the background with the divorce, how contentious it was, what's going on with the relationships. And even though, Jeffrey's testified, like we can kind of get, a little bit more details about what's happening in the outside, kind of pull it all together with all the different testimonies and all the different calls and stuff, and kind of pull it together a little bit better, starting with like the week of. And one more thing I want to say before we go to Wendy's podcast, I might have to, mute it a little bit here and there because she gives me the EBGBs. But one thing I want to say about what we saw between the court cases, like with Sigfredo and Katie, and then Katie's retrial, and then Charlie's trial. During Charlie's trial, on the prosecution witness list, we saw a ton of people that we didn't hear from. But now here we are with Donna's trial, and there are, the witness list for the prosecution was a lot of people that we really wanted to hear from, but didn't. I think it's a tactic, if you will. A lot of people on Charlie's list was going to convict Donna. A lot of people on the prosecution witness list for Donna is going to be the people that we see at Wendy's trial. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. These are all good points. There are so many, the washing of the money. And some of it's ironic because like Donna thinks she's being I think she washed the money to like remove fingerprints or DNA or like that sort of thing. But then it just ends up implicating her more. Like they wouldn't have, well, anyway. So in terms of then it's musty and the hitmen are like complaining about that, and that's in messages from Katie to Charlie, like, oh, the money's moldy. He's like, oh, I think my mom may have washed it. Anyway, I know it's like the money laundering joke is did Donna misunderstand?
I think that she knew what money laundering.
No, I think she did too. It's just ironic.
She's like Grandma Gotti, just to coin the phrase. I think Shaming If Chase said that, like called her Grandma Gotti. Like I think that she was trying to get rid of fingerprints and DNA.
Yeah, exactly. But it is like
ironic. Laundering it.
It's like it's fodder for jokes about the did she misunderstand money laundering? If anything, it seems like they may have also been doing money laundering with like having so much cash, like evading. Well, I don't know. That's speculation, but I
mean, my speculation about Harvey is that he might not, if he's never arrested, he might not be convicted, but there might be a federal case on him in regards to
like tax
fraud. Tax evasion, fraud, the Adelson Institute. They were making so much money. It reminds me of the Frash case here in Tallahassee, and Georgia Kappelman actually prosecuted it. But I forget Frash's first name, but his wife was this beautiful ex-model, Samir Frash, and he murdered her here in Tallahassee. But he had this small podiatry practice. He was a doctor in Thomasville, Georgia, just north of Tallahassee, about 30 miles. but he was like a multi-millionaire with this little tiny practice. And in like, not only was there like a murder trial going on, there was also a huge federal trial going on against him about all of the Medicare, Medicaid fraud and insurance
Oh,
fraud that he had been conducting at his podiatrist practice in
oh,
Thomasville, Georgia, because there was only like one. Harvey was the full-time dentist.
yeah.
Charlie is like only coming, like Charlie's only there like once. Well, Clarissa just said once a month. I thought it was actually once a week. They only have a couple of hygienists, or dental hygienists. Like, it's not a very large practice, but when you look on the outside, like, it looks like all glorified. It's called the Adelson Institute. It's like there money's coming from somewhere. And I don't know if I don't know how many patients one full-time dentist, maybe a second full-time, but how many patients can they have in one day just to be accumulating millions and millions and millions of dollars? So I also
Yeah.
wanted to thank everybody for joining us. We've got a few more new people
Yeah.
coming. The two is here. I see Misty. Um, there's a Lady K. There's a Kim Brent. There's several. Oh, Kaza T is here. So there's a lot of people joining us. And I just wanted to thank everybody for being with Allison and myself.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, this is simultaneously on both of our channels. But if you haven't already subscribed to True Crime Wifey, please subscribe. She does awesome lives, and she has a lot of the local tea. Okay, should we? Yeah, we play the.
Yeah. Oh, and just real quick, I wanted to say a side note. Like, I put up a short today because right before Donna's trial, I got like a recommended video from someone named Jimmy McNutty, and he's been like all over Winthrop Park and Trescott and all around, and he could not find Dan Markel's bench. So I did like a 27-second short today, like from the parking lot walking to the bench so I could show him, because I've been trying to tell him where to go. And I mean, I hope he sees it.
And also, yeah, people should subscribe to Leslie B's channel, and she's very kindly put together a series about my mother's case. She's been putting together powerful, succinct videos on, and the succinct videos, those are the hardest. Like that quote, it's the Mark Twain quote about it's he wrote a long letter because he didn't have time to write a short one. Yeah. And let's see. Maestroso has a fantastic channel. So anyway, yeah, jumping to the writing class rate. So Wendi, this is after the murder. She's living in Miami. I mean, it'll be clear from her description. This was a piece that she wrote about herself that I think is chilling. And yeah, this is literally an independent this writing class radio, and I think they're actually continuing to make, this was years ago, Wendy's, I think Wendy's like episode 6, but they, yeah, just as a class, this, after Wendi had published her novel, which is really autobiographical. Okay. Anyway, I think I think I have it started where there is a little bit description, introduction to what the class is and the writing prompt. But oh yeah, thank you, Liz. Justice for Nancy. Okay.
Will come out the way it wants to. Today on our show, we're going to give you Wendi the way she revealed herself in the first semester. In our first class, I gave the prompt, "How are you really?" Wendi wrote about her ex-husband's murder.
On July 18th, 2014, someone shot my ex-husband in the head while he was pulling into our garage after he dropped our then 3- and 4-year-old sons off at school. I only found out this information when the police picked me up from a lunch date I was having with 2 girlfriends and insisted that I come with them back to the station, and then interrogated me for 8 straight hours, because it's usually the ex-wife. I'm not really okay. I list the things that are going well when people ask this question. My children are thriving and happy. We live with my parents who are incredibly devoted to our well-being. I started my own immigration practice, and I just signed up to do a 1-year clerkship with the Federal 11th Circuit in September, which means I can get off Obamacare and have 1 year guaranteed of a steady income. But the truth is that I miss my life. I was a professor at Florida State University College of Law. I was so proud to be a public interest attorney and a mentor to my students. The novel I wrote about my clients' stories had just been chosen as the common read for all first-year students at FSU. In August, I was supposed to be the commencement speaker, and then I was supposed to take my brain cancer surviving just turned 70 father on a trip to Machu Picchu. And I don't get to complain that I didn't do any of those things because I am alive.
I haven't listened to this recently. The humble brags at the beginning are so nauseating. And she wanted to, now she's complaining about not staying in Tallahassee. The brain cancer or father thing, apparently that's a lie. Anyway, it's my interjection. It goes on though.
Thank you. Thank you for reading and telling us that and writing that. Okay, what do you guys think? What do you want to know more about?
We learn a lot about the narrator. We learn how smart she is. We learn how much she's done in this time, you know, where most people would be probably in bed crying and on drugs and medication. Something that I was curious about, if there's something in there that is causing her not to be able to really get any sympathy, or if she feels like she's not getting sympathy because it was an ex, or she's not allowed to grieve him. I'm so curious to see how the grieving process went. What do you call it? When they just say the story and they don't.
Hot topic, cold prose.
It's just said, and you're like, wow, that sucks.
And what she's talking about hot topics, cold prose, is that it's not sentimental. It's just reported. The tone is perfect.
What else?
As horrible as the experience was, I mean, it was sort of, I was happy at the end when she said that, and she talked about them living with her family and their family. And I mean, it made me, on some level, feel, I mean, I don't know, at least happy. Yeah. I mean,
I think it's okay for us to feel uneasy for a long time in as readers or as listeners to this story. So I wouldn't want the narrator to worry about us. The thing that I think this story is really about, and it might change, but I think it's about, the line that really struck me is, "I don't get to complain because I'm alive."
It was hard not to get up to hug Wendi. It was hard to not ask personal questions. And it was hard to not ask detailed questions about the crime, like who murdered her ex-husband and why. But we're not the podcast serial. Our job as editors is to give feedback on the writing, to tell her what hit us and what we want to know more about. After taking in all the comments, Wendi worked on her story at home. 2 weeks later, she came back with some of the answers to our questions. In her first story, she hinted at not feeling like she can publicly express how she really feels, a theme she repeated in this next story. In her writing, though, she seems to express how she really feels.
10 months ago, someone killed the father of my children. First, we got divorced, and then he got murdered. In casual conversations, I don't know whether to call him my ex-late spouse or my late ex-spouse, except that late ex-spouse sounds like latex spouse. Last July, someone, and we still don't know who, shot my ex-husband point blank in the back of the head as he pulled into our garage after driving our then 3- and 4-year-old sons to preschool. We married when I was in my mid-20s, when I thought I could cheat the system and marry a man I lacked passionate love for because, hey, didn't that die anyway during marriage? I saw his intellect and big heart and thought he would make a wonderful father for my children. Our marriage dissolved after the children arrived, as the loneliness of being married to someone that didn't view me as an equal crept in. I do believe he loved me the best way he knew how. I mean, he didn't like fiction, so why read my novel? It was logic, not a lack of love. It feels sacrilegious these days, even to suggest something less than heroic about my latex husband, because he was murdered. He died violently and young, and likely at the hands of a professional killer. And the media had a field day in response. I turned on the news to find photos of my children with Nancy Grace, George Stephanopoulos saying my name in reference to our acrimonious divorce, and a picture my friend took when I was her maid of honor showed as evidence why I should be treated like a murder suspect and not the mother of 2 fatherless boys. I sat on a bench last week to watch the boys play. An older woman sitting next to me commented on how adorable my boys are and asked, "What does your husband do?" I hate this question. I haven't yet said, "He doesn't do much because he's dead," but I think it sometimes. I find when I tell people that my children's father died, they feel sad. But when they ask the follow-up questions and find out we weren't married, they seem to feel better. I don't.
Here's Wendi in response to the prompt, what is the story you tell about your relationship with your mom?
My mom and I have lived together for almost a year. She is selfless, generous, loving, and beautiful. She thinks she is fat. She once got turned down for Weight Watchers because she didn't have enough excess weight to be admitted to the program. She thinks she is stupid. My mom, who won the New York Spelling Bee for middle schoolers when she was only in the 6th grade. I'm so many of the things I am because of who my mom is and who she wants me to be. I was valedictorian of my high school. She seemed proudest that I graduated high school still a virgin. I try to draw boundaries with my mom because lately there aren't any. She is caring for my children right now so that I can be here in class, more like a co-parent than a grandmother. But I accept it because as a former kindergarten teacher, she is so adept in that role. She taught my boys how to recite the 44 presidents, just like she taught me when I was 4. I see myself in them, reciting, receiving praise. She has completely changed her life because mine fell apart. I write letters to her in my head every day, ones of immense gratitude for facilitating my return from the bottom. But when we speak, in the few fleeting moments when the kids or my dad don't need something, it comes out like, "Is the dishwasher clean? And if not, should I run it?" Or something else inconsequential about laundry or groceries or aspects of daily life.
There's more of Wendi's story coming up after we talk about our awesome sponsors.
Just for people arriving, this is actually after this is after the murder. Wendi took a writing class. So this was years after her book. And that is Wendi's voice reading.
What's interesting about the prompts is that sometimes they bring up memories we don't consciously realize are still affecting us. At the end of today's show, I'm going to give you a prompt. Your assignment is to see what comes up, to trust that the story will come out the way it wants to. Write now, edit later. And then record your story on the voice memo of your phone and email it to us. Your story might end up on our podcast. Stay tuned to the end of the show to hear the prompt. In response to the prompt, lies, Wendi remembers the death of her friend's father. And again, she discovers that sometimes her outward reactions don't match her inner emotions.
My childhood friend Lisa told me this weekend that she never even knew I was unhappy in my marriage. I had no idea I hid it so well. I always thought that I had an expressive face, the kind that easily registered happiness and disappointments. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that most people think I am very happy all of the time because I smile constantly to try to engage with people, make them smile too. I think this face is a kind of mask that I wear out of a life of endless practice, like a kind of muscle memory for the face. I can even remember one time learning that a friend's father had died, and upon hearing the news, I smiled. It was a bizarre reaction since I loved my friend and her dad very much. We were 13, and I remember him making pancakes for us many a Sunday morning after a few of us slept over. More than 20 years later, I still feel like a freak show thinking back on that moment. If I'm a person that likes to be funny and to use humor and levity to engage with people, then is it an authentic or inauthentic response to smile at the news of something tragic? Am I deluding others or myself when I smile or laugh through the pain of a terrible time? Am I avoiding actually bathing in the grief I need to feel so that when time passes, I will have missed my chance to mourn? Danny used to tell me that everyone thought I was such a nice person and such a good person, but he was the only one that knew the truth about what a bad person I was. He was convinced I had deluded everyone but him.
And later in the same class, I gave the prompt, your last intimate moment.
I feel like this is really telling, that last part. Well, it's all telling. I think she's struggling to figure out why she doesn't have feelings. Brian Kohlberger wrote some similar questions about to like himself or on a blog about his lack of feelings. It is reminiscent of Wendy's writing is reminiscent of but yeah, I think she lacks empathy. She refers to herself like, oh, she feels like a freak yeah, well, I think she is, and she in a sense realizes that, but she's also trying to tell herself, oh, it's just my way of coping with emotions, processing emotions.
It should be intimate when a man cries in front of you while you hold each other, and it was, but I wasn't crying. Sometimes I feel like I'm all cried out. This year, I told my small children that their father was dead and wasn't ever coming back. And a few nights ago, when a beautiful man teared up in my arms, I wondered if I could ever cry at something beautiful again. I shared a piece of writing with him I was trying out for class. It describes a scene where I'm immensely sad. He tells me he was initially impressed with all that I have accomplished, but now he's more taken with what I have endured. I appreciate his words and wonder, why can't I be that woman on the spot? Why do I reserve the written word for a place where I can accurately and painfully express myself, and the in-person real-life version for the Wendi show, jazz hands and all? I wish I could merge us so we could be less of a weirdo.
I think Wendy's working on a bigger story, more than just what happened, which was that her ex-husband was murdered. Her bigger story is about what it means for her to be authentic. Why does she laugh in the face of trauma? Does everyone? Or is Wendi wearing a mask she wants to take off? She writes a lot about how people react when they hear her story. She also writes about her own reactions, how she wishes she could be as true in person as she is in her writing.
Wow. Yeah, this is, I remembered she was exploring her lack of emotion, but it's even more striking to me now. She's someone who doesn't naturally experience emotions and is trying to piece together what it means to feel. Like she's watching how others react, like how other people cry when they're hurt. But yeah, she's hollow. Let me see if I can find that Koberger writing something that reminds me of this. But yeah, sorry, there's still more here. Oops.
So I spoke to Wendi about her experience in our class. How did she feel telling her story? And how did it feel to get our class's reaction?
You asked how are we doing really? And I was shaking from head to toe, and I thought, okay, let's just do this. Let's just dive in. I didn't have a plan to do it, but it just felt unavoidable. The words kind of just flew out of me. But then when I was done, I sat there and I couldn't look anyone in the eye, and I was sweaty, and I just thought, okay, now I've done it. Now it's out there. Now what?
And so then how did you feel about the class's reaction?
I felt good. I felt good about the class's reaction. I realized that people had questions. And so some of them were about the writing and how, what might be different ways to tell the same story. And other questions were a bit more like, well, what happened here and what was going on there? And I thought, oh, I don't know if you remember this. I didn't know we were all going to read what we wrote in class. I thought maybe some of us would read if we felt like it. And I didn't think that would be me.
So I asked her what motivated her in that moment to read her story, even when she wasn't expecting to.
I think for me, a lot of the additional pain I felt, on top of the murder and everything associated with, was it felt unfair that I couldn't at least tell my own story, that the story got told for me. So I think there was an aspect of empowerment, of being able to say, no, this is my side of the story. This is what things look like from my perspective.
Flying fortress of plastic dreams.
Writing Class Radio is produced by Diego Saldana Rojas, Allison Langer, and me, Andrea Askowitz, with the help of Alejandro Santiago.
I know, it's so sickening. I found some clips from Koberger's writing. But Koberger also describes an unsettling inner landscape, and he's trying to piece together what it means to feel. And as True Crime Wifey said, he's mirroring, like trying to mirror other emotions, like he's mimicking. So this is some of his writing. True Crime Wifey, are you?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I had. No, I wasn't sure because I had that up. If I had.
No,
like,
I just chopped some squash.
Oh, yeah.
Listening. But then I started. I put it on mute so I could.
No, I just wasn't sure if you were maybe
dictate.
trying to.
No, so I could dictate. I was like do voice to text in the chat because Like it's so absurd. And someone said earlier, like they don't like, I think it was Sherry D. She can't stand to hear Wendy's voice. I literally have body chills. Like I just can't handle it. Like like she just makes me cringe. And like she says, like, I say he's does nothing because he's dead. Like, no, what the hell is going on in this writing class? I'm so sorry. I am just, it's so creepy. It is like creep factor 1,000. And this is why I'm telling you, like, I believe, okay, in my opinion, allegedly, that she is a psychopath.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I think that this is planned from the get-go. Like,
this writing
justice is coming for her. Justice is coming for her.
Yeah, this underscores to me that she's a psycho. Like, I don't know if it wasn't for hearing her describing her lack of emotions and her me and more me, as Kristen said. So yeah, here's some Koberger excerpts.
So after, okay, let's talk about this for 1 second. So after Wendi like adjusts her writing, I'll bet you everyone in the class like never talked to her again. Or I guess were they because were they in a class and this is being recorded audio, or were they never really? I mean, she does say that her mom's babysitting her.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's an actual class.
Yeah, they scattered like roaches. I believe if they're intuitive, that they were afraid of her. Just my opinion, because she also said, like, my mom thinks she's fat. My mom thinks she's stupid. That this is what Wendi thinks about Donna. Like and then her examples of why she's not. It's so odd. Wendi has become the better of the two in regards to narcissism.
She's bragging about her mom too, especially when we know what her mom, how thin her mom when she was arrested was. It's a humble brag.
Her mom is so stupid because her mom
took
the bait and got all of this arranged for her. Took the bait. Like, she made Donna go rah, and get people to do this. Like, she made Donna go so crazy in her mind, in my opinion. Like, because all of the emails and texts and stuff where Wendi doesn't answer. And you could just see the escalation of Donna losing, like, Donna's losing control. But Wendi knows how controlling Donna is, and she's pushing all of the right buttons. Like, that's why I say, I know people are saying that Donna's the mastermind. I don't think so. I think that Wendi is the mastermind. I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go, but like, I'm going to re-listen to this again. I've not listened to it in a few years, but she also, this writing class is from 2015. She talks about professional hitmen killing her ex-husband and shot him in the back of the head in the garage. Like, she's getting joy by retelling these
things. You can hear it in her voice. Which is so disturbing.
So disturbing. Yeah. Oh, jinx.
Yeah.
You want to play Brian Koberger?
Oh, I don't have. Oh, well, I just have some excerpts that I can read. I don't have it. I don't know of anywhere.
Above ground says, "Oh Lord, 2015." Yeah, hitmen were not arrested until 2016. How did you know this, Wendi?
Did she say definitively? I mean, just to play devil's advocate about that. Wasn't it quickly?
She said shot in the back of the head. So she's trying to cover herself by saying the back of the head.
Yeah.
When we know from Rob's testimony that he just testified a few days ago saying that Donna told him that people went to the front door and said, "Are you Dan Markel?" and shot him in the face.
Oh yeah.
So this is all like, this is her play. Like
Yeah.
she thinks she's actually
that's even
covering
for
her
Donna.
behind.
Saying it's a professional hit, I do think like that was quickly speculated on. So that is like one of the least disturbing parts to me. But yeah, how Donna saying that's Donna. Yeah, before any hitmen had been arrested, and how
Well, then Donna told Robert that this is what they'd said, and he didn't necessarily specify, but I believe that Donna told Robert that the cops told her that. So, like,
yeah,
Robert,
like my
Robert
father
said
said.
what Donna said.
My father said to my mother's mother, "Oh, Nancy didn't suffer." But like, how would he know that? So that reminds me when Donna also is describing something only the killer would have observed. I mean, I don't think anyone thought there was a ring. No, there wouldn't have been ring camera. Otherwise, it would have been like footage to begin with. Ring cameras maybe didn't even exist then. Yeah. So Brian Koberger, who I think people he's pretty infamous. Yeah, he stabbed 4 University of Idaho undergrads that he had no connection to, except maybe he was stalking one of them. Yeah, and he's now pled guilty. Like he admits he killed all 4 of them. So when he was younger, he wrote of feeling like, this is his quote, an organic sack of meat with no self-worth. And then he also writes, as I hug my family, I look into their faces, I see nothing. It is like I am looking at a video game, but less. Like I think he's not registering. I think that's what he's saying, like that he doesn't understand like their emotions, like when he looks in their faces, like that. I think he thinks they're genuine, but that he's not able to understand. He talks about like also emotional void. So he talks about this is his quote, another quote of his: depression, no interest in activity, constant thoughts of suicide, crazy thoughts, delusions of grandeur. Well, he writes that himself, the delusions of grandeur.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a narcissist.
He's at least
think
a
that he's
narcissist.
just 100% psychopath.
Oh yeah, in terms of
because like serial killers, yeah, and like I know I say serial killer calm, like serial killers are definitely different than the Wendi type of murderer, because Wendi didn't get her hands dirty, so she's removed herself. Like just
yeah, that's
Donna
true.
and Charlie.
Like lack of empathy. They both have lack of empathy. I guess that's what.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, like when Wendy's describing not having like typical emotions. But yeah, that's true that he got pleasure from. Of course, you know, like then they seem like they're vindictive. With it's not long. I mean, it's a spectrum, but like telling him for maximum devastation when telling Dan that she was leaving him for his giving a speech. Like they do seem vindictive. So he also, so writing about himself, delusions of grandeur. That is really interesting to me about him because I think he was trying to be like infamous serial killer, and it seems like, I mean, he could have had other killings, but I think he was.
I mean, he was like a chunky kid that no one ever paid attention to.
And he was trying to be an infamous serial killer. I think get away with like multiple crimes like this, like copying. What's the name of the one that stabbed a bunch of nursing students? Like it was in the 60s. I don't want to say the wrong psycho. But anyway, yeah, I think he was trying to be like, he had this delusion of grandeur of being like so sick, like a famous, infamous serial killer. So anyway, he's writing this about himself: the delusion of grandeur, anxiety, poor self-image, poor social skills, and then he writes in all caps, no emotion. And then he also describes, when I get home, I mean to my family, this started when he has this visual snow issue. VS did, I felt no emotion. And along with depersonalization, I can say I do whatever I want with little remorse. And then he also writes, this is nothing I do is enjoyable. I am blank. I have no opinion. I have no emotion. I have nothing. Can you relate? Yeah, so he wrote this when I think he was like in high school. These different, and they were excerpts that so there wasn't all continuous prose that I was reading. Yeah, so I think that's similar in trying to decipher like feeling no emotion, and Wendy's basically, I feel like, describing something along those lines, that she realizes she's not feeling typical emotions or expressing typical emotions, and what other people feel. Is she refers to herself as like a freak show. I mean, she's writing it in a way like, oh, I'm not really a freak show, but she does admit like she has that thought. Anyway, they're reminiscent, I think, of each other. Let me catch up.
Well, and that
Ted
was that.
Bundy. Right. Thank you. That
No,
killer.
the person that you were talking about is Richard Speck.
Oh,
yeah, the nursing student guy is from the 60s is Richard Speck. Ted Bundy killed people in Washington State. Chi Omega sorority at Florida State University here in Tallahassee, and the little 12-year-old girl in Lake City, Florida, which is just east of Tallahassee. And I think, did he also kill someone?
Oh, I think I was conflating the sorority and the nursing, because they were like both, I guess, dorms of students. Sorority. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Ted Bundy. Oh yeah, he was from. Was that in Tallahassee? Ted Bundy?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it was in Tallahassee. Remember on the jail calls when like Charlie's talking to Donna and he's like, "This is the Ted Bundy." Like he's like acting like, he couldn't get a fair shot.
Oh, I
His
didn't.
Trial was like the Ted Bundy trial.
But I remember him comparing his trial to the Tallahassee Super Bowl, but I didn't recall that he also referred to it as like the Ted Bundy trial.
He basically said that this was the biggest trial since Ted Bundy, which is not true. Not true at all. There's been bigger trials like the one I talked about earlier, Dr. Frash killing his wife Samira in a gated community. It's not Oxbottom, it's Golden. Why did I just forget what? Okay, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. The gated community. We also had the serial killer Gary Michael Hilton, who killed FSU nurse. She worked at the clinic at FSU, and she was also a Sunday school teacher in Crawfordville, Florida. He killed her, but he was caught. This happened. He killed her. He killed her in November. This is Gary Michael Hilton. He is the last person in Leon County to get the death penalty, and his trial was several years ago. But in November of 2007, he killed Cheryl Dunlap, and then they were looking for him, and then he killed Meredith Emerson in Georgia on New Year's Day in 2008 while she was hiking with her black lab on a place called Blood Mountain. Like, yeah. If you guys are hiking, like, don't go to places like Devil's Dip or Tate's Hell or Blood Mountain. Like those places just kind of, when something's named that, I would just not hike there. But my point is that it was not the biggest trial since Ted Bundy.
Yeah, well, his comparison to their Super Bowl, Tallahassee Super Bowl, that was grandiose. FSU just this is a bit of a tangent,
sorry.
but FSU just won. I just, people mentioned this yesterday, so congratulations to FSU. It was football, right? FSU.
Yeah, Rebecca was at the game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we're like a lot of our friends and neighbors.
Awesome. Yeah, congratulations to.
Yeah,
FSU.
beating Alabama, I know. And I didn't watch it or listen to it. A lot of times I'll listen to it if I can't find it, like bootleg streaming on YouTube. I'll listen to it on the radio. 94.9 local radio always plays it. And a lot of times, to me, it's much more exciting to hear it than see it. But it's fine. I didn't watch it yesterday. I was doing a whole bunch of other things. But we did try to see the helicopters, because they did I don't know exactly what special singing group did the national anthem, but they were from the Air Force, and then they flew over some military helicopters. They always do some sort of flyover if they're able to. So it's,
that's
a lot of
cool.
times it's like, like B something, another number bombers, or like Black Hawk Down, Chinooks. Like, they always do some sort of flyover, which is super exciting. Yeah, and beating Alabama is always, and I'm not even an FSU football fan. Like, my team's Clemson, even they're huge rivals, but
oh yeah, South Carolina. Yeah.
Whenever FSU plays any SEC team, I root for FSU, except for the Gators. Sorry, everyone. I do root for the Gators because I grew up in Central Florida. So I root for the Gators against FSU, but mostly everyone else that FSU plays, except for Clemson and Gators, I will root for FSU.
I'm an unusual American in that I don't, and for that matter, my husband's also unusual. Otherwise, we don't follow any sports. So yeah, it's not that. But I understand the excitement, and I just don't want to come across like I don't know the teams that are like ranked.
Well, when FSU is winning, it brings in a ton of money to Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big deal. I mean, it is one of the biggest things going on, other than, the university itself, and FAMU, which is located just south. And FAMU's a big HBCU, like historical Black college or university. So, like, both universities are notarized, if you will, in their particular.
Yeah, they even schools, when they're doing really well, the alums tend to donate a lot more as well. I've heard. So yeah, these sports can be big money makers. I mean, literally, some of these coaches make more than like the university president.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Sorry. Yeah, I thought you didn't realize that Ted Bundy was FSU.
No, I
So
didn't.
He did get a change of venue, though. They actually had his trial in Miami back then.
The thing I recall about Ted Bundy was that Elizabeth, that horrible memory expert lady, she testified in his defense, and she was like still defending him.
I used to work with people who were students at FSU and sorority girls and other sororities when that happened, because I think it's 1978. If I don't have any notes or anything, but I believe it happened in 1978. And this is interesting. Yeah, this is interesting because I talked to law enforcement many years ago, and he was in fact arrested in Pensacola. Like, that's where he was caught, Ted Bundy, which is, 3 hours or so to the west of Tallahassee. That's where he was caught. And when law enforcement were bringing him back to Tallahassee to go into the Leon County Jail, Highway 90 is what they call the old 10, because Interstate 10 runs parallel with Highway 90. But they brought him back from Highway 9 on Highway 90, not the interstate, from Pensacola to Tallahassee, and the entire Highway 90 was lined in, like, the community people, cops. Like, they've told these stories to me. I mean, of course I wasn't here back then, but like, they, it was probably like an entourage of 30 to 40 cops traveling and driving and bringing him back to Tallahassee to be booked into the Leon County Jail from Pensacola, where he got caught.
Wow.
And to hear people talk about that, like, I don't know, kind of like you could, people, like, the community was mad. Like, it really, really hurt Tallahassee for a long time.
You mean they were, am I misunderstanding this? In transporting him?
Yeah, in transporting him.
Oh,
they
because
transported him, yeah, because
they were afraid that he was going to be assassinated because people hate him so much.
No. No. It was just, I mean, when you're catching a serial killer, because they knew it was a serial killer.
We were following him. Oh, sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, they were he was in one car, but yeah, it was basically like the entire panhandle. If you were law enforcement or you lived somewhere off of Highway 90, you were lined on that road watching them, like, taken back to Tallahassee, because it was such a big deal. Like, the community was so scared that I don't know. People that went to FSU when it happened, like, they've told me the stories, or in law enforcement who worked in law enforcement back then, like, they told me the stories as well. I just find side note, sorry.
No, that's really interesting background. Yeah, True Crime Wifey, she's living up to her name, True Crime. Subscribe to her. Yeah, so Brian Koberger was, like, modeling himself after these other serial killers, I think.
Yeah, and I lived in Central Florida when Ted Bundy was executed. I don't remember what month, but it was in 1989. Of course, I was a child. But Stark is where death row is. They call it Stark, but I believe it's called Rayford. That's the name of the prison, but it's in the town of Stark. That's not too far from Gainesville. But I remember specifically, like, watching the news, and, like, the community was outside the night that he was being executed, like, in prison, because they executed him fairly quickly, like within 11 years of him being caught.
Yeah, that is faster than
yeah. But, like, I had
1980.
talked, yeah, I had talked to my, you talk about false memory. I had talked to my sister once because I actually thought, because I was young then, I actually thought that we had gone, like that like our family was there, but it was because there were so many vivid, this is like how your memory goes, even though I was older, it's so weird. But the like on the TV, there was every single station was showing the execution, or showing people outside of Stark. And I remembered this old man. He had this big pickup truck, and he had built this massive wooden chair and had like wires all over it, and and it said Ted Bundy Furniture Company because he got, he was in Old Sparky. That's what they called the electric chair. And I was talking to my sisters once, and talking to my sister once, I was like, "Hey, I remember Old Spark. Like, I remember the Ted Bundy Furniture Company man. Like, was he in our town?" She's like, "No."
Well, you sounded you saw it on TV, right?
Yeah, it was on
Yeah.
TV, but I was like, "Did we see him driving in our town?" I was like, "Where? What?" She's
But
like,
it sounds like that
"No."
was a real memory, but you were watching it on TV instead of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like we weren't. Yeah, no, my mom did not drive us from Orlando to Stark to be outside.
But
when
it's
we
it's
were
not
there.
like it's a false memory that you saw like I don't know in some documentary like years later, and you actually like saw it when
Yeah,
it was
being
happening, right?
broadcast live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was being broadcast live on TV. So kind of weird.
Yeah. Someone was asking, is Harvey next? Daisy
I think
Chain.
Wendi will be. I think Wendy's going to be before Harvey.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, Daisy Jane. I like that. I like that name. Or sorry, maybe it was Net Detective. That was asking. I think Harvey was definitely involved. But he just follows around behind Donna. I think. He definitely knew what was going on, but because Donna was like, she was the one outwardly in these messages. I mean, they shared an email, but still, she's signing the mom and she was writing the checks. It may be harder. I think there's more evidence against Wendi than Harvey. So, but maybe the prosecution we're only seeing what's pertinent to each culprit, and like there could easily be evidence against, like we've seen now new stuff in Donna's trial that we didn't see in Charlie's trial because for instance he wasn't involved in canceling the cable or that kind of domestic coordination, as Donna refers to herself, domestic coordinator. And likewise they may have stuff that's very specific to Wendy's trial. Oh, someone was asking about the WhatsApp. They had the WhatsApp. Isn't that because or how did they get the WhatsApp? Was that because they took Donna's phone before she deleted the WhatsApp
Well,
messages?
Wendy's been asked in previous trials. I think what I'm trying to remember if WhatsApp was asked in Catherine McBanawa's second trial that occurred in 2022, or if
But I
she
think
was.
WhatsApp doesn't, they like genuinely don't save the messages. And
Yeah,
so
it's double encrypted, and it's not a good thing for law enforcement.
But if you get the person's phone, they still have the messages.
If they haven't deleted it,
Yeah, if they
but
haven't
it's
deleted the
supposed to be
messages.
double encrypted. So I
Yeah.
think that they can see that I believe that law enforcement can see that activity occurred.
The
I just
activity,
don't
but not
know
the
if
messages.
they
Yeah.
can find the messages. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. You would still see the activity, I guess, because yeah, it would just be encryption of the messages. But when they took Donna's phone, at the airport, I mean, she was probably like going along deleting that's another thing. The "this is so sweet" message from, sorry, I'm jumping back to Wendi.
Yeah.
But in terms
I
of
was
deleted
about to say that.
yeah,
I was
because
about
Wendi
that
morning,
first got brought up. When did Georgia first ask Wendi about it? Because you can see her on the stand and her eyes like kind of get big, like I can't remember which trial it was. I think it was before Charlie's.
Yeah. Oh, it was
when
before
she
Charlie's?
Yeah,
Okay.
when she asked, "This is so sweet." And then you can see Wendi like scanning, you can see her eyes scanning the page, trying to figure out all the other stuff that's on the page. Like, what else does Georgia have? And you understand that those like exhibits, like sometimes we might just see a snippet of it, but other information might be like included on
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
the exhibit. And
Yeah.
so Wendi was trying to figure out what else was on there, and you could see her get rattled.
Yeah,
but that's done on purpose, like just like the witness list is done on purpose to rattle Wendi. I think
it's not just to rattle. I'm sure it did rattle her, but like that is incriminating. Like Kristen H is saying, and they think they're being clever, or Wendi thinks she's being clever. Oh, I'm going to delete that message, but when it's the only message deleted that day, like
no, she also deleted all of the text messages between her and Dan Markel, because after Dan leaves that message for her at, I believe it's like 9:02 a.m. and she has text exchanges back and forth with Dan Markel. But when Isom is with her and they download her phone, she's deleted those as well.
Oh, that's interesting. But then she had other messages she hadn't deleted. Yeah, that message from Dan to Wendi, the voicemail, that was so sad. But because he sounds like he's being really sweet and cooperative, and Wendi, we now see, immediately responds to that with a message that sounded, he's being accommodating. We can meet, we can go for a walk at school or whatever, and he's sounding really friendly. And she just responds to him, "Oh, your swim idea is a no-go." Yeah.
So, hey, do you want to play Dan's message?
Oh yeah, sure. Let me find it here. Okay, I
have the timestamp. I think I told it to.
Oh, do you have it? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Or yeah, oh, do you want to pull it up?
Sure.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hang on, it's gonna take me a second. Hold on.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, Manira. Hi, Mia. Nice to see you all. Thanks for joining, everyone, and some new people. Yeah, I think Wendi will be arrested. And then maybe more will come out in Wendi's trial that implicates Harvey further. And then that would be full justice. That would be everyone, in my opinion. Hi, Above Ground. Oh, well, True Crime Wifey's pulling that up. Let me just, yeah, this is my banner here for DA Wagstaff in my mother's case. They're really close to charging my father. For those who have followed the case, they're familiar with, there's overwhelming evidence, and yeah, if even an email that my mother still deserves justice, a brief email like that, I don't want to make it too daunting, to DA Wagstaff would be, we've already seen the power of the public response in my mother's case and in allocating resources. So I'm so grateful for everyone's advocacy. There are now basically everyone in the Foster City Detectives or police department all the way up, and the DA's office. The DA, the head of the office, seems like he's dragging his feet a bit, but even relatively senior people in his office want to press charges, and he's just they need his approval.
So I have it pulled up. Can you see
Oh,
it?
yeah. Okay, add to
Okay.
stage. Yeah.
Okay. So this is Sergeant Corbett on the stand. We're about to listen to it, but I want to say something real quick. I thought it was so funny when Sergeant Corbett first took the stand, and Georgia or whoever was doing the examination of the witness, and they're like, "How long have you worked at TPD?" He's like, 29 years and 11 months. Like, what that means is he's got one more month for retirement.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's keeping track of it.
All right, here we go.
Wendi receives a voicemail from Dan Markel.
Okay, and do you have that voicemail where you could play it for us?
I believe so.
Hey, Wendi. Good morning. 9 o'clock on Friday. Just wanted to lay down something to pick the boys up early this afternoon and getting swimming. And that happened for you at around 4:30 or 5. You can from either at your cell or at the house. So let me know if that is okay with you. And also love to chat with you about that situation for school. And Thursday stuff and all that. I'm going to be at the gym probably between 9:15 and 10:30. But happy to chat. For a walk in school, just like that. Okay, bye.
What time was that voicemail left for Wendi Adelson?
9:04 a.m.
Poor Phil. Yeah. That's
Okay, what happens after that?
Dan's dad.
So Charlie calls Wendi or attempts to call Wendi at 9:12.
And that's 29 seconds?
Correct.
Okay, what's next?
Wendi texts Dan Markel stating the repairman at my house now. I am picking up the boys at 3 p.m. So your swim idea is a no-go today.
So do we know exactly what time she listened to that? Was it 9:04?
9:04 was the voicemail.
Do we know exactly what time she listened to that 9:04 voicemail?
We do not.
But it seems she would have listened to it before this text at 9:12.
She does seem to acknowledge the content of the voicemail in this text message reply.
So she heard it sometime between 9:04 and 9:12.
Correct.
Okay. Now, in that message, he mentions he's going to the gym, right? At 9:15. But from the surveillance videos that we have, by the time he got to the gym at 9:15, were the killers already tailing him?
Appear to be so, yes.
Okay. And are you familiar with Luis Rivera's statement that they had been tailing him all morning? They followed him from his house to the preschool that morning.
Correct.
All right, so can you walk us through these messages starting at 9:12 a.m. that Wendi Adelson has with Dan Markell?
Yes. So again, she indicated that the swim idea was a no-go. Mr. Markell responds about his day ending at 4:30.
Meaning that he gets to keep the boys under the schedule until 4:30.
Correct.
Okay.
As again, in this message, he says, under our schedule. And he continues, and you had them until 5 last week. This is at 9:13 a.m.
Okay.
Wendi Adelson responds, because you needed to food shop. This is at 9:15. Mr. Markell replies, you weren't making them available until 5.
And at this point, he's already in the Premier parking lot around that time.
Would be correct, yes.
Okay.
Wendi responds, if it was 4:30 last Friday, you should have told me that. Why tell me now? This is at 9:19. And also at 9:19, Wendi receives a call from Charlie, last a little over 18 minutes.
Okay. So at the point.
Okay. Hey, I just want to clear something up. There's like in the chat. No, Sergeant Corbett was not wearing an owl on his jacket. It's the TPD, the Tallahassee Police Department shield, like a badge. Just letting everyone know that he was not wearing an owl. Are you there, Allison?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this call, this 18-minute call.
Yeah,
this
'cause
is what
there's no more
Wendy's
text.
claiming.
Yeah, there's no more text between Dan and Wendi after this.
Yeah. Wendy's claiming this call is to tell Charlie that the TV can't be repaired, but that doesn't take over 18 minutes. So, yeah, I think Wendi was probably like relaying the message from Dan, but then Charlie's probably assuring her, oh, it's really going down this time. Yeah, I'm sure they were talking about their plan.
And hey, it's okay. It's okay. The two, yeah, it does look like an owl, but if you look closely, you can see it's their police officer shield. But yeah, no harm, no foul. So, Allison, I wanted to ask you something because it's getting really close to 6. And I don't know if you want to continue without me, but I will have to go in about 10 minutes or so.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, you know that. We've been on for almost 3 hours.
Yeah. So, we can pick up another time. Like just
I think we covered a lot. I'm so proud of us. We stayed on topic for the most part, and we did really well. I'm proud of us. And thank you everyone for being here. There's been so many people in the chat and on our live stream today. Just thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you everyone.